All right, everybody. So, welcome to another episode of Working with Our Mates. And today we have Sarah, the lovely Sarah Maxwell from In the Game Coaching. I know that Sarah's been working really hard to thrive during these unprecedented, challenging times and helping everyone around to do the same. So, maybe I'll stop talking and let Sarah take it away.
Oh my goodness. Funny you say that I've been working hard. I've basically been working on this thing inside of me that always needs to produce more stuff. Maybe that's me, my background as a professional athlete. Maybe it's because my mom was like that. Maybe it's because my stepfather was like that. But for some reason, I feel this need to create stuff. And to be honest, I'm trying to calm it down a little bit. So these past couple of weeks have been really great. I run a group, actually, a reflection group, and we took on for 9 days being productive. But we kind of turned it on its head and we said, what would it be like to produce things, not because we feel like we have to, we should, or we must, but because we actually are inspired to do it, and it's more of our calling. We're more aligned to do it. So, I'm on it, but you're right. I've been creating.
So what's been your big happening or your big thing you've been working on? Like you mentioned about the reflection group, but do you have anything exciting coming to us soon?
Well, I think it's exciting. My mom thinks it's exciting. Basically, I have finally decided to take on my website. I had one years ago, and I just, like many of us probably do, we get too busy for all of that jazz. So I let it go. And so it's called In the Game. And I have loved that motto for 15 years, ever since I did a self-development course that really spoke. Yeah, this is what I'm going to share. This will tell a lot about me, is that I did this course and they were talking about not living life from the sidelines, but like living life on the court of life, being in the game. And I'm sitting there and there's like 150 people and I'm like, oh, nailing this. Like I play on a court as a job. I was a professional beach volleyball player, represented Canada. And I'm literally like, I've got this. This is my mindset. I'm all over this one. And the person's talking. And the more they shared, I kind of visualized myself on the actual bleachers or the stands, watching other teams play. Because here's the thing, I came in and we have this thing called the qualifier. I'm watching other countries and other teams rise to the semis, the finals, and win tournaments, and I'm watching. And some of the language when you watch things is you're always the expert, you always know better, and you always know what to do. But guess what? Those teams and those countries were out there doing the do. That kind of communication isn't judgy. It's not like I've got this sorted. To be honest, you're really vulnerable. You make mistakes all the time. You get up from them. So what I got in that moment was I needed to totally shift my life and get on the court all the time and stop watching and commenting from the sidelines. So yeah, In the Game is I'm even rebranding my podcast. It was called The Nat and Sarah Show. That was a dream to start that. We lived in Switzerland for a year, so I launched that in 2019. And literally in 2 days, it's going to now be called In the Game Podcast. So basically, I guess it's a streamlining exercise, if you will.
Fantastic. And just because now you've got me really excited to talk to you about this, to be honest, what's been the most, I wouldn't say difficult, but what brought about the change to the podcast, the rebrand behind the name of it? And, is Nat still going to be involved, number one? And number two, was it just something where you felt it could really link to your passion to help people, as you said, be on the court more and be in the game of life?
Yeah, such a good question. You're kind of stealing my joke, because I was going to say I had to change it because I'm kicking my partner off. So my partner, Natalie Cook, we've been married for 20 years. We met playing beach volleyball. She represented Australia. We actually met, I watched her win a gold medal on Bondi Beach as someone who was an indoor volleyball player. And I was literally thinking, oh, I want those Aussies to win because the Brazilians win everything. And I didn't know who they were. I was just wanting the underdog to win. And so seeing Australia beat Brazil, who they had never beaten ever in all those years, and to win in the most important moment, I was like, yeah, so excited. So yeah, to be married to that person is kind of interesting. But again, it's just a person. So the Nat and Sarah Show was really named that because I worked with a woman on marketing. And she's like, so what are the things that people comment the most about you? And I said, well, whenever Nat and I are together, it's like we're a gong show. They call us like the Nat and Sarah show. We're a bit of like a comedy act. And so that was the name. And it really was being able to reverse engineer some of the things that Nat manifested by winning gold, being a full-time family, living in Switzerland, and then some of the other things over the years, including having a 4-year-old daughter. And, you know, let's be honest, we're two women, so you gotta get creative. So, you know, some of the things that we've manifested in our lives. And so the 3-step process, the Nat and Sarah show, is really about then introducing our mentors to people, the people that have really influenced our lives. So what we noticed, however, was that I'm the Oprah. And Nat's kind of like the, yeah, you go do that. That's your thing. I've even been called Sopra before. And that's why my joke here, this is my little photo of Oprah right here. This happened right after I had a baby. So it doesn't matter how fat you are, you could get your photo with Oprah. And it's great.
So without revealing too much, I'm guessing I'm going to go out on a limb here for our audience. I'm guessing you can't give us any previews as to who your first guest might be on your rebranded podcast, can you?
Dude, I can't keep a secret to save my life. Are you kidding? Like, the word sneak peek for me. See, the thing about me, I think it's my best quality and my worst quality, is I literally can't keep a secret. And what that means to me is that the people that I get to talk to in my life, the people I've gotten to meet, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, I want Ben to meet this person, or I want Kylie to know them. And it's like, oh, if only Selena could hear this. You know, I'm always thinking about how I could share what I'm hearing with someone else. So the fact that, and now you've got me worried that I'm going to say it wrong, Don Fraser. I'm Canadian, by the way, 20 years in Australia. I finally got my citizenship, but I still say Fraser. Sorry, Donnie. So I was able to meet her years ago. And one of the things that I think it's an asset is the fact that I didn't grow up with this legend. I learned about her. And I learned about her by meeting somebody who was totally down to earth, totally humble, and completely just in the moment. And so interviewing her, what I loved about it is I didn't have nerves. I didn't have a preconceived idea. I've met her multiple times, thanks to Nat. And I feel like I've been kind of been gifted this access. And I cannot not share it, because that's just me. It just drives me crazy. I love giving other people sneak peeks, because the one thing you know about me is I'll always tell it all.
Absolutely, that is very true. Even back to the first time we met, I still remember it. It was you definitely live the motto of your brand, in the game coaching. Definitely. I guess to sort of, for our audience listening today, I'd love to ask you a question. Obviously, I'm using the language, you know, we're in unprecedented times at the moment. I'd love for you to tell us about what, if you were to give out, I know you're not big on, you know, judgmental advice, but if you were to give a supportive suggestion maybe for people listening out there about things they could be looking to, or things to make this time a time to try and thrive rather than regress, what would you say to everyone out there?
Well, you know, it was weird because isolation sort of like unfolded for everybody. You know, it was like I noticed that I started to have these feelings or this anxiety, which matched I call it my isolation experience that I had 16 years ago when I did this Vipassana 10-day no talking, noble silence meditation camp, if you will. And I'd never meditated before. I had no prior experience. I had no breath work. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And it was the hardest and best thing I've ever done. But what I noticed was a lot of the anxiety I had going into it, and anxiety only at the level that I knew what was coming. Like, I actually didn't know. And this is what I think isolation is like. It's unprecedented or unknown. We actually don't know. But the unknown itself has been something that's really challenged me in my volleyball career, not knowing if I'm going to make the Olympics or not make it. That for me has caused a lot of anxiety. So when I noticed this coming up, I started to think, okay, so what's the opportunity? And ultimately what I did was, with a group of other people, we kind of put forward, okay, what's the fear? What's the anxiety? Like, what's the thing? So I'll give you one. a lot of people said, oh my God, I'm going to have so much time on my hands. Like Ben, you will not relate to that one probably. But anyway, but if Ben was dropped in the middle of the ocean and had nothing to do, that might be fearful for him. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I won't be able to make all my phone calls. I won't be able to do my webcam. Like, you know, a lot of people were fearful of that. So what I noticed was, that's freaking hilarious. People's biggest complaint in life is, I just need more time. I never have enough time. And now they're afraid they're going to get time. Hilarious. So this is what I think is the opportunity, is just write down. Like, this is what people do. They keep it in their head. And my background is neuropsychology, okay? So sometimes I go back into that neuroscience stuff. But we keep it in our head, and like a thought, if you knew how fast a thought moves, you would get that thing down on a piece of paper, because it has a different vibration energetically. The minute you put it down on a piece of paper, it's more solid, it's more concrete. What goes on in your head, it's like self-perpetuating. So if you can get the angst and the fear down, you can actually opposite it. Like getting people to actually go, when was the last time I just hoped for a week off? If you can change it from, I'm afraid to have too much time, to, oh my God, I was so excited to have a week off. And if you take out this whole idea, like I was going to go to Bora Bora in that week, and you go, okay, well, what else would I have done? Well, clearly I would have got caught up on my Netflix shows. That will be a priority. But you know, other things, like the way that people are able to spend time with their families, I think two things are happening. You're getting to know your family, and you're getting to know your family. And if you're watching, you saw like there was a change in how I looked. I said the same thing, but the energy was different. Getting to know is confronting. Everyone's getting to know how their kids are learning. Hello, this is perfect for you, Ben. And they're freaking out. So that's why they're like, full spectrum education, because I can't handle it. But that's the thing. It's like it's like reality, but it's still opportunity, because it's just getting to know. And if you can just sort of change the, what's the word? Almost like your takeaway for yourself. Because a lot of, if you can go, I'm just getting to know my child, instead of my child's driving me freaking bananas, it's like, wow, I'm getting to know, even, this is random, but I was listening to something on the 5 love languages, and I'm like, wow, I'm getting to know my daughter's language. Like, because if she goes to kindy every day, which she now doesn't do, the teachers are getting to know that language, but now I get to know it. This is the opportunity. So every single thing is a choice, you know? You can either look left or you can look right. You choose.
Wow. I think I will join the audience in being speechless. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. I know that, you know, ever since we've come into contact, I've really valued every conversation we've had, and I know that this one's been no different. So on behalf of the whole audience listening today, and also myself, thanks for coming on the Working with Our Mates show, produced by Full Spectrum Education, and Sarah, we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Ben. I just want to acknowledge you for always uplifting me. My love language is words of affirmation, and you always give me lots of words of affirmation. So thank you so much. And I just think what you're doing out there for education, but even bigger than that, what you're doing in the business community, is, it takes a lot of courage. So good on you.